Hey, it's Joe Amoia, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com. Are you tired of relationships which start off great and which ultimately turn to crap? Well, if so, I want you to pay close attention because in this video, you're going to learn two things. You're going to learn why this happens, and number two, you're going to learn what you must do to make sure that you pick a relationship and create a relationship which starts off good and gets even better as time goes on. So let me give you an example. There was a time in my life where I had this pattern, and I noticed that my relationship history was almost the same story every time. And I would meet someone, I'd be attracted to him, we'd go out, we'd have a couple of dates, and the next thing you knew, I was in a relationship. And then a couple months down the road, one of two things happened. I realized, you know what? I don't really like this person. I don't want to be in a relationship with this person. Or they realized they didn't like me and didn't want to be in a relationship with me. So usually, invariably, it was like 6 to 9 months. That was where this all happened. And so ultimately, I took my mirror time and go, what's going on here? Why did this happen? And then what I ultimately realized is that, I didn't decide who I wanted to get in a relationship with. I just went out, the chemistry was great. The excitement was great. We're having lots of fun. We had things in common. And next thing you know, boom, we're in a relationship. But what I realized, that wasn't too smart. So think of it like this. If you wanted to create a successful business with someone, would you just go out with them once or twice? And just because you're having fun, would you automatically, make them a business partner? And would you, entitle them to half of your business from that point on? It's not the smart thing to do. I see this all the time. It's like I'll correspond with somebody, overseas for 3 years. And we've never met, but I love him. And I'm like, what the WTF? Like, really? You've never met this person. You've never spent time with them. And yet you know that they're the love of your life. Well, if that's true, why haven't you met in 3 years? It's like, human beings, we like make these things so much more difficult than we need to. And that's yours truly. Again, I'm not pointing fingers. There was a time in my life where I did the same thing. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, is because if you're going to create a great relationship, you got to realize that the worst thing you can do is jump into a relationship. And that includes jumping into bed, because once you're in bed, especially if it's great, man, the blinds are on and you can't see anything else. You're just focusing on all the good stuff. And that's what you're going to see in the beginning. But then ultimately, when that wears off, you're going to sit and you're going to start noticing all these things that bother you. And you're going to start paying attention, saying, you know what? That's really starting to get on my nerves. Or, you know what? He did that, but it doesn't bother you as much as it does now. Because all that excitement has worn down. It's like, the emotions have come down and you're back to reality. So there's something that I've learned to call best foot forward. In the beginning, both you and the guy tend to put your best foot forward. It's like you're saying and doing all the right things. It's all about let's have fun. Let's get together. Let's have this amazing experience. And ultimately that wears off and there's this thing called life. And you're at that point where you're like, do we want to spend the rest of our lives with each other? Is this the person I really want to be with? Does this person really give me all of the things I need to be happy, not just some of the things? So you've got to realize that the number one thing you have to do is realize that there are reasons why this happened. So what you have to do is you have to learn to date. And what I mean by that is you've got to get to know somebody. Who is this person? What are they all about? Not just get caught up in the chemistry and the excitement. Again, that's important. You need to be attracted to someone. You need to be sexually compatible with someone. But those are just two pieces of the puzzle. You need to see, does this person have the same values, the same goals? Do they want to go to the same places in life that I want to go? Do we have the same dreams in life? And just because they say it in the beginning doesn't mean it's true. I see it all the time. Women say, I tell him, I want to get married. And he says, yes, he wants to get married too. And then, when things start to get hot and heavy, he disappears. And I said, well, what's his past like? Well, he's got like 3 failed marriages. Well, that should tell you something, or he's 50 years old. He's never been married. Okay. Well, not to say that there haven't been extraneous circumstances, but maybe there's something there you should look at. The biggest goal, if you want to have a great relationship, is you have to sit back, kind of like take it in and say, okay, let's date. Let's get to know each other. Let's see if you're the person I'm really looking for. And when I did that in my life, man, it was amazing how things changed, because I started to see people for who they really were. I started to see the people who had a lot of baggage, who hadn't dealt with their baggage, and who weren't emotionally available. I saw the individuals who were victims, and they wanted to blame everybody and everything for why they've been screwed over, and who didn't take responsibility for their bad choices and decisions. So the great thing about people is, if you really sit back and keep your eyes and ears open, they'll show you your true colors. Even if they're putting up a front in the beginning. I did this with one woman I worked with a while back, and she's like, this guy just really turned into a narcissist. And I'm like, well, what happened in the beginning? She's like, oh, he was sweet and smooth and all that. I go, well, there are any signs? She's like, yeah, well, you know what? When we went out, he used to like talk down to people. He's like, I remember, like, she's literally on the first date, he was like berating the waitress. And I'm like, didn't you pay attention to that? She's like, well, not really. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, because we were having so much fun. And I see, and that's the problem. The red flags are always, always, always there. You just have to learn how to spot them, and you have to learn how to recognize them. And you have to be truthful for yourself. You can't ignore them, because ignoring them in the beginning, when the chemistry is great, when you're having a lot of fun, is going to work against you down the road. And so these two steps that I shared with you today are vital in your journey. You've got to learn to recognize that in the beginning, everybody rushes in. And so you want to do the exact opposite. You want to take your time. It doesn't mean you got to take 6 years, because ultimately people are going to show you their true colors. So just sit back, get to date someone, get to know them, go out, experience life, because a guy who's looking for the relationship has the same mindset. When I met my wife, she wasn't looking to jump into things. She was kind of, she'd been burned. She'd made some bad mistakes. She realized there were a lot of boys out there who had ulterior motives and who couldn't give her what she needed to have the relationship she really wanted. So she was sitting back saying, okay, you seem like a nice guy. Let's get to know each other. And we dated each other. And the more we dated each other, the more we got to know each other, the more we saw what kind of person each person was. And I saw how she was. And I saw the relationship she had with her family members. Saw the relationship she had with her friends. I saw how responsible she was. I saw that she didn't have any really bad health habits. I'm sorry, she didn't have any unhealthy addictions. I'm sure that she was emotionally available, that she didn't have any baggage. And I'm like, the more I dated her, the more she was attracted to me in the beginning, but the more she became even more attractive to me, and made me realize this is a special woman. This is the kind of person I want to share my life with. And here we are 16 years later, and I can honestly say I love my wife more today than the day we got married, because that's what true love is true love is like a flower. It grows, and it continues to grow as long as you water it and you nurture it. And the best way to do that is to pick the right person for the right reasons. And the best way to do that is to date them before you get in a relationship. So I threw a lot at you. I know this is one of those heavy ones, but here at GPS for Love, we're all about getting to the truth and helping you learn what you need to learn, the important tips and strategies that will help you create the great relationship, the relationship you desire and that you deserve. So, time for mirror time. Go back, take a look at the past, and really see, do you tend to jump into relationships? If so, why? Is it because you're lonely, you're afraid you'll never find somebody else? Like, really get to the truth of why you do what you do, because that is going to set you free. That's going to help you learn what you need to learn so that you can make those choices and make different decisions going forward. So take that mirror time and go ahead, once you do it, share what you've learned in the box below. And if you have any other questions, comments, or feedback, feel free to post those as well. As always, honor and privilege to be with you. I'll see you next time. Much love.